Hey everybody, I'm gonna get some music going. Um, Today's a great day. I am very happy to be live on a Friday afternoon. I forgot to Canto Symphony. Hold on. Yes. There we go. Folks, this is the next edition of our 151 greatest Pokemon of all time. I'm really excited about it. We are breaking into the top 100 today. If you did not remember, we got to number 100 last time, so I suppose we did break into the top 100 last time, but now we're really cracking in there properly. I never stream. I usually don't stream on Fridays at all, and I never usually stream on a Friday afternoon. But since I have the time off in the summer here, I am taking a little bit of time to just experiment with some stream times. I know we have some people over in Europe that enjoy watching, so I know this will be a little earlier for you all. But we'll see. If not, it'll just be me, baby. I can talk about this myself all the time. So, let's recap where we were last time. Here, we have at number 109, Hitmonchan. We have at number 108, Xerneas. We have at 107, Weezing. We have 106, Heracross. We have 105, Marowak, personal fave. We have 104, Necrozma, an underrated Pokemon, I feel. We have 103 Voltorb and Electrode. Love that one. We have 102 Gallade. We have 101 Empoleon. And then probably my most impassioned selection of the previous episode at number 100, we have Geodude. So, again, like I said, we are breaking into the top 100 today. Very, very excited. If things hold like they've been, there will be about 10 more episodes of this series. I'm excited about that. I'm really excited to run this concurrently with our next game, which will be really great. If you have not joined us on our Legends Arceus playthrough, we are very close to being finished with that. I predict about 2 more episodes on that, so that will be very fun. So we're almost to the end on Arceus. I feel like we've been playing Arceus forever, and I've loved it, but I am ready to move on to a new game, and we will soon. But that's not why we're here today. We are here for our ranking. So let's get right into it. At number 99 on the list of 151 greatest Pokemon of all time, we have Zygarde. I talked about this with Xerneas a little bit. Zygarde gets maybe a little bit of a bump from what will assuredly be a very large role in Legends ZA. I have not seen any leaks, and I do not want to, so please do not spoil anything for me or anyone in my comment sections or chats, please, and thank you. But I think Zygarde is going to get a bump from Legends ZA. Now, this is something that I haven't really talked about. Zygarde is what we like to call a trio master. I guess not. Never mind. So trio master might be the wrong verbiage here. Because when I think of trio master, I think of specifically Ho-Oh and Lugia, where Ho-Oh is the trio master of the beasts, and Lugia is the trio master of the birds. But Zygarde functions a little bit more like Rayquaza, for example, where Rayquaza is kind of like the boss of the 2 box legendaries in Generation 3. Zygarde is kind of like the boss of the 2 box legendaries in Generation 6. So Zygarde is kind of the thing that helps keep Xerneas and Yveltal in balance. It completes that triangle to, keep the world where it's supposed to be. That's Zygarde's role, and it's heavily featured in the XY anime. I know, I'm I know that there was a big thing with a shiny Zygarde. I know Lysander in the XY anime was a big deal. And I know that there are, I think there's like a TV movie also for Zygarde. So, Zygarde's a Pokemon that has gotten a lot of attention for the game that it never got, Pokemon Z. And now it's kind of getting that with Pokemon Legends ZA. And we'll hopefully be able to dig into that lore that it has a little bit more. I would love to say it's a cover star. It's not even a cover star of Legends ZA. It might be on that cover. Let me see. Do we see any Zygarde here in this cover art? Yes, there is a little Zygarde core there, right where my screen cuts off. So I guess Zygarde is technically a cover star of Pokemon Legends ZA. It is a side quest in Generation 7. This is a really big thing because instead of creating Pokemon Z, the Pokemon Company decided to just go ahead and start their next generation, Generation 7, with Pokemon Sun and Moon because there was a big anniversary. It was the 20th anniversary, so they wanted to have a new generation rather than try to make a third version for X and Y. So there is a side quest in Alola where Zygarde is kind of like inserted in, where you have to collect Zygarde cells. And that was kind of like the leftovers of Pokemon Z, so to speak. But now we're going to get a little bit of retribution for our big green snake boy. But I'm dropping my water. So Zygarde has its own area as well in Terminus Cave in Generation 6. But it also has a connection to Guzzlord. And I'm going to... Here we have Guzzlord. Look at this big, nasty beast. This is an Ultra Beast in Generation 7. I'm going to keep this tab open. I want you to look at Guzzlord. Just look at Guzzlord for now. Now, Zygarde has a bunch of alternate forms. It has little cores that are kind of like these little guys that are alive. That was what was on the Legend ZA, whatchamacallit, cover. Like, here's a Zygarde core. Now, when you are able to collect, here's that core again. When you are able to collect 10% of Zygarde's cells and cores, you are able to create its dog form, which I really, really like. It's kind of random to me, but I really, really like its dog form. It's powerful, it's speedy. I think it's really, really cool. If you are able to collect 50% of its cells and cores, you'll have this snake form that you see. But then if you're able to collect 100% of its cells and cores, you will see this awesome kind of Gundam-y mech-looking version of Zygarde. And I think this thing is so sick. You see the red and the blue on its kind of like little cape thing, kind of representing Yveltal and Xerneas. But the thing with the complete form of Zygarde, I want you to look at kind of like this kind of, it looks like a face on its chest. Now, if you look at Guzzlord, no, not you, if you look at Guzzlord, it kind of has like a mouth face on its chest. There are some design similarities, kind of like Guzzlord is like a corrupted version of Zygarde, like a corrupted Ultra Space version of Zygarde, and they both have very similar areas where they are caught in Generation 6 and Generation 7. So there's definitely some intentional connection there. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but it's really, really cool. So I wanted to highlight that. And of course, Guzzlord, Ultra Beast in Generation 7. Sorry that I didn't do this earlier, but I always say at the top of these streams, if you have not played any of the Pokemon games, we will be talking about many, and I mean many, spoilers. So please be warned about that. So sorry, I forgot to warn you at the top. But this is Zygarde. I really like this Pokemon. I think it's really cool. Like I said, I love that dog form. I love the complete form. And it's going to get so much more in Legends ZA. This is really a projected placement for Zygarde. But love Zygarde. It is worthy of being in the top 100, especially come October. But let's move on to number 98 on our list. At number 98, we have Sneasel. I am exceptionally happy to talk about Sneasel. I am a huge Generation 2 fan, and I think Sneasel, its original design, is better than Weavile. I think it's better than Sneasler, and I like those two Pokemon. I think Sneasel was essentially a complete design. It was only a single form Pokemon when it was introduced, and I think it has a way better case to be included on this list than either of its evolutions, so we'll talk about this now. It is featured in a lot of teams. It is the ace Pokemon of Team Galactic leader Cyrus. Now, of course, in the final fight with Cyrus, Diamond and Pearl, that would be on the Spear Pillar, and Platinum, that would be in the Distortion World, Cyrus is going to have a Weavile. But prior to that, his ace is a Sneasel. And it's also featured on Silver's team in the Generation 2 games. It is a main Pokemon of your rival in that game, kind of like a dark companion for Silver, because Silver is kind of like a dark, evil character, kind of. It is also a member of Gym Leader Candace's team in Generation 4, so Sneasel gets big features in Generation 2 and 4. I love its design. Great, iconic design. It is, it has a very fleshed out overworld personality. You can find it in new Pokemon Snap. We just saw it in our last Arceus episode in a Distortion. That thing will chase you relentlessly like a stealthy, quick ninja will Sneasel. And it has that great personality in Snap. It's got it in Arceus. Specifically in Pokemon Sword and Shield, we see that great ninja chase, which I love. That has done a lot for Sneasel in the later generations, I think, to just flesh out its personality. Now, it does get a regional form. Obviously, we have heard a lot from its regional form in Pokemon Legends Arceus. I do love the new color. Here, they make it look a little more babyish to me, which I don't love. But this version of Sneasel does still look really cool. It's no longer a dark ice type. It is a poison fighting type. And then, of course, that is going to evolve into Sneasler, which I think is really cool. We talked about this a little bit. I know a lot of people don't love Sneasler. Its model in Arceus does look a little bit awkward. I think when you look at this key art of Sneasler, I think you really kind of start to see the cool appeal of it. You see the long claws, kind of like the sly appearance. It looks more like ninja-y, ready to fight. Love Sneasler. I think it's really underrated. But again, I would argue that Sneasel, original Johtonian Sneasel, is the superior Pokemon. And I specifically think that for its original added evolution, Weavile in Generation 4. Weavile is cool. I'm not here to talk crap about Weavile. I do like it. But I think Sneasler is a stronger design, or Sneasel rather, is a stronger design, mostly because I just don't find that Weavile adds enough to the design concept. I think kind of like the headdress thing just overdoes it a little bit. I think that Sneasel's it's got a real cool less is more approach to me. Again, I love Sneasel so much, one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. We talked about its fleshed out overworld personality. It is featured in Lucario in the Mystery of Mew. Sneasel and Weavile are included there. I recall there's a trainer that has them. Very, very cool. I think it's like a park ranger trainer. I don't really remember. But it does have a good feature in that movie. Sneasel does have some cool TCG cards. Let's look at Sneasel from Neo Genesis, because this is Genesis. This is kind of like the Sneasel rookie card. I really love this card. I loved how in the original Dark Pokemon cards, they had the black background. I think those looked really clean and really cool. They hold up really, really well. And this is just the Ken Sugimori art, that original art. But love this Sneasel rookie card. But another thing I wanted to point out specifically was this Versus Holo. Let's make that a little smaller. But this is a Pokemon. This is a card from the Versus series. I am currently collecting this set. This was a Japanese exclusive set. I've probably talked about it a little bit. But it is like Gym Heroes or Gym Challenge, but it was only released in Japan. And we have Price's Sneasel here. I think it's really cool. It's looking very devious, like it's about to eat those eggs. Very, very dark there. But Sneasel's a dark Pokemon. What are you going to do? This set is iconic for me. Each gym leader has a different artist assigned to their roster of Pokemon. It's such a great set. Love this card for Sneasel. But with that, that's about all I have for our Dark Weasel friend. It gets 2 new evolutions, a regional form, some great features on NPC teams, and that iconic design and personality. I think Sneasel is more than worthy of being on this list, especially above its other forms. But with that, let's head to number 97. At number 97, we have Starmie, a classic Pokemon here. Starmie is going to be most known by most people of being connected to Misty, not only in the games, where it was, of course, Misty's ace in Generation 1, Generation 3, Generation 8. It's iconic for that, but it was also a key Misty Pokemon in the original anime. Starmie and Staryu both had great features. This Pokemon has grown on me over the years. I think it was way cooler than I ever gave it credit for. And it's also, I will add, I wrote it down here, iconic strength in the early games. Starmie in the early games was so powerful. It was a water psychic type. Psychic was the best type in the game. Water was also very strong because it had Surf, it had Hydro Pump, but it also had access to Ice Beam, which was great for dealing with Lance's dragons. It had access to Psychic, which was one of the most powerful moves in the game. It had access to Thunderbolt, which was also incredibly powerful and good. Starmie could run Surf, Ice Beam, Psychic, Thunderbolt. That's incredible for a fast special attacker in the original game. Starmie was game-breaking when it was first introduced in Gen 1. Starmie is great for that. But, talked about Misty, talked about Gen 1. I love its feature in the original Pokemon Snap, because if you recall, in the river level of that game, there would be a Staryu that you kind of had to chase, or several Staryu that you had to take a picture of, and they would kind of circle around you as you went down the rapids. And then those Staryu would go into this whirlpool, and then they would emerge as a Starmie. It was so cool, and it would really like spin and fly out of there. Love Starmie's feature in the original Pokemon Snap. It's also a new Pokemon Snap. Talked a little bit about Misty. It is Misty's ace in several generations of Pokemon. I mean, it's Misty's ace in the first 4 generations, and then it also gets the feature in Let's Go as well. So it's great. And I think in Let's Go, I'm pretty sure in Let's Go, Misty gives you Scald, and I think it uses Scald. So that's very powerful for the second gym leader. So Starmie has... Being connected to Misty is going to do a lot for you, right? And we see that here in this alternate art card. I mean, this thing is money right here. I love this card. Everybody loves this card. I'm very happy to own this card. It is just Misty and Starmie hanging around at the pool. It's so charming. It's so colorful. It's so fun. I love this, and this really immortalizes the Misty-Starmie relationship. And it's really cool when they do these things in the TCG. That really immortalizes the Pokemon with their trainer. I love that, and they're starting to do that more with some of the more modern sets. Love this card. And then, of course, that is very new, but we can throw it back to the original TCG as well, because Starmie was featured in the original base set. Now, there is like a fuzz flying around me. There's obviously the first edition version where the shadow over on the right side of the art would be gone. But this is just the unlimited version. This was the original bad CG Starmie that they had. I just really kind of noticed that this card, that Starmie's kind of underwater. I always, whenever I looked at it, until now basically, I always thought of it as just kind of like a plain blue background, but you see the little bubbles there. It is implied to be underwater. I never really think about that. And then another great feature in the original TCG, Starmie has a Hollow in Sky Ridge, which, look at that. That is so cool. And it is so not what you're used to Starmie looking like. I kind of talked about this with Muck a little bit further back in the list. Those three sets, Aquapolis, Skyridge, and Expedition, those artists were given liberty to draw the Pokemon a little bit differently than they had been seen, or really would ever be seen after that point. Not only are those sets very, very rare today, the unique artwork also makes them very, very sought after. And Starmie getting a Hollow in Skyridge is huge, because Skyridge specifically is probably the most popular or most sought after, I'll say, set of those three sets. So, Starmie is more than worthy of an inclusion. Like I've talked about, we're going to be getting into some of the no-brainers as we get higher up the list. So, very happy to see Starmie here at number 97. Now, at number 96, we have Exeggutor. I love this Pokemon. This was a big riser. When I was first making the list, this was one of those Pokemon that I had kind of forgotten about to include on the list. And then I'm just like, oh my gosh, Exeggutor has got to be high up. It has so many great features. It is on your rival/champion Blues team in those original games. It is on Blue's Gym Leader team in Generation 2 and Generation 4. It is a member of Will's Elite Four team in Generation 2 and Generation 4. It has so many great features NPC-wise, like we saw with Rapidash, like we saw with Muck. But I think Exeggutor has a leg up on those Pokemon for a few reasons. And the biggest one would be its iconic regional form. Now, Muck and Rapidash, if we're kind of comparing, Magneton as well, kind of like, I think of like those Pokemon as kind of like mid-level Kanto Pokemon that are iconic just because of their longevity and how many times they've been featured. And they all have alternate forms, but I would say none of their alternate forms are as iconic as Exeggutor's Alolan form. We have the cartoonishly long neck extending toward the sunny sky in Alola, and it does not have the grass and psychic type. It now has the grass dragon type, which was a very interesting typing to give it, but I support it. I think it's so fun and so cool, and I think that Game Freak could do more with the dragon type like this, where they could make fewer Pokemon that are literally dragons have the dragon type. Alolan Executor is one of the most iconic regional forms. It was one of the first, but also iconic or infamous, depending on who you're talking to. But, oh yeah, and I kind of forgot to mention here, it is a member of Elite Four, Crispin's team in the Indigo Disc DLC of Scarlet and Violet. I actually really like it because Crispin is a fire trainer in that game, and Executor obviously is a grass type. He has a regular Cantonian one, but its role is to set up sun, which is really cool, and that helps Executor as well. So it is not a fire type Pokemon, but supports his fire type team. It's really cool. Now, we talked about the iconic Alolan form. It also gets its own special location in Alola with Executor Island, which is super fun. And you even get kind of like a cute little mini boss there too. Because even like the developers knew that Executor was one of the key regional forms in the Alolan games where regional forms debuted. So it's not only a mascot for like tropical areas. Like if you ever see, like let's say there's an event in Hawaii or there's an event in any tropical area of Japan, Alolan Executor is a mascot for that. So it's not only like a tropical mascot, like the palm tree Pokemon, it is really a regional form mascot. Especially when those things first debuted. Now, in terms of TCG, the cards that I wanted to feature we have this original artwork from the Jungle set. There's that little crab there in the corner. That's so funny because obviously, canonically, that should be a Krabby, but it's just a crab. It's not a Krabby. Love this very colorful, fun sunset artwork. Executor's just hanging around by the beach. You could say this is a little foreshadowing for its Alolan form. You see those palm trees in the background. That's actually really interesting. I've never noticed that before. And this card is from 1996 or 98 or whenever they printed this. So maybe they knew. Maybe they had an inkling. I mean, I guess Executor has always been a bit of a palm tree Pokemon, but they made it a little more literal in Alola. But yeah, Jungle was the first expansion for the TCG after base set, so that is a key card. And also, I wanted to mention this. I forgot to link it, but I do have it here. We have this wonderful Alolan Executor and Rowlet GX tag team card. This is from Unified Minds. I love the tag team cards. It's hard to see in the art here. But you can see Rowlet just hanging out right underneath its heads. You can barely see Rowlet in this artwork. That is so funny. Yes, I love this card. This is probably the best other Executor card I can think of. But I mean, look at that thing. It's over $100. Really, any card from this era is going to be crazy. The tag team sets like Unbroken Bonds, Team Up, those sets are just astronomical right now. But all that to say, love Executor. It is another one of those kind of compilers from Generation 1, but I think it is certainly iconic in its own right and deserves to be in the top 100. So happy to see Executor. At number 95 on our list, we have Goodra. Now, Goodra is interesting. It is the pseudo-legendary of Generation 6. But for Goodra, I want to go back here to the Ash Ketchum's Pokemon by win percentage. Can I make this? Oh, that's just doing weird stuff. So if you notice, if you look here, Ash Ketchum's Pokemon by win percentage, we have all of his Pokemon that he had owned, I think, up through Generation 6. Lapras down there at the bottom. Look who's in the top left corner with a 100% win percentage. That would be almighty Goodra. I kind of forget that Ash had a Goodra, but it was a powerhouse for him in the anime. Literally, according to win percentage, it's his best Pokemon, so it has that going for it. Let's go back here. Again, featured Pokemon of Ash. Love the design. Again, talking about dragon-type Pokemon that are a little more interesting. Goodra kind of has like a doofy, like Puff the Magic Dragon vibe, but it's also like a slug. It's like a slug dragon. It like lives in swamps and like wet areas. That is really interesting to me. And with its regional form, which we know of from Legends Arceus, we train one of our own. The slug original Goodra turns into a snail Goodra, kind of, in Hisui. And it gets the Dragon Steel type, which is a really cool, really great typing. Same as Dialga. And I really enjoy the Hisuian variant of Goodra. I think both are really, really cool. We've seen a lot of Goodra in our Arceus playthrough. Talked about Goodra being the pseudo-legendary Pokemon of Generation 6. It is a member of Champion Diantha's team, which is really cool. It is also a member of your rival Shauna's team. The rivals in Generation 6 are much maligned, but some of those later battles do have some really cool Pokemon features, like Goodra. So I wanted to shout that out. We have its alpha encounter in Pokemon Legends Arceus. I will say, Arceus holds a lot of sway in my heart, and I think it holds a lot of sway with other Pokemon players as well. If you recall, toward the end there in our Arceus playthrough, we had to fight 3 alpha Pokemon at all 3 of the lakes, that being Zoroark, Overqwil, and Hisuian Goodra. So it has its own little nice mini-boss fight there in Arceus, and its Hisuian form also has a lovely art rare in Crown Zenith. Look how delightful this thing is. It is so, so cute. You have the Starlies bringing it some flowers and berries. It's just kind of sitting there all huddled by itself. Ooh, there's a little Wurmple there in the corner as well, bottom left. Love this Goodra card. Crown Zenith and V-Star Universe are just top tier sets in the Pokemon TCG, and Goodra gets a nice art rare in it. Galarian Gallery, technically. But put all that together, its feature in Arceus and being a member of Ash's team, a key member of Ash's team, maybe the strongest member of Ash's team, really is what puts Goodra over the top and into the top 100. And I'm sure Goodra is going to get a great feature in Legends ZA as well. Maybe a new Mega, who knows. But let's move along to number 94 on our list. That Pokemon would be Lycanroc. Yes, I forgot what we had Lycanroc right here. I know that Lycanroc is a member of Ash's team in the Sun and Moon arc. He has a Dusk Lycanroc specifically. Now, what I'm showing here is the day form of midday. That's what it's called. There's midday, midnight, and dusk form of Lycanroc. All 3 forms are really, really cool, and we can showcase them here. So here we see the midday form. Here we are going to see the midnight form. It has a much more of a werewolf-like appearance. This is pretty cool because you see the midnight form here. That's what I had in Pokemon Moon, and the midday form would be in Pokemon Sun. Kind of a cool dichotomy there. They learn slightly different moves. Like I remember this Pokemon, for example, Midnight learns Counter, while the Midday form does not, but the Midday form will also learn the signature move Accelerock. It's a bit more fast, it's a bit more agile, while this one's a bit more in its place, a little more powerful. So those differences are really cool and really interesting. But my favorite of the three forms is Dusk Lycanroc, and this is what Ash Ketchum had. I love this thing. I think it's such a cool and interesting mix of both. I think it has the awesome agileness of the Midday form while having some of like the cool edge of the Midnight form. I think Dusk Lycanroc is even though in its original generation it was really weird and technical to evolve it into Dusk Lycanroc. You really had to do certain things at a very specific time of day. So that was a little annoying, but still kind of cool. We are in the internet era now where Pokemon can do some really, really obscure evolution methods because everyone's online, everyone can figure out how to do it. But if you go back to the days where the internet wasn't as prevalent, you would never realistically know how to do it. Anyway, Dusk Lycanroc is amazing. I love it. And it is featured in New Pokemon Snap. There is a really awesome desert area where you can get some really nice shots of Lycanroc. Super, super cool. But Lycanroc surprised me a little bit by being this high on the list, because it is an Ash Pokemon, but that's not going to be, that's not the be-all, end-all. It needs some good features otherwise. Obviously, we have the three forms, but it is a member of Kahuna/Elite Four Olivia's team in the original Sun and Moon, her ace Pokemon, actually. It's also going to be a member of Professor Kukui's champion team in Sun and Moon, which is really, really cool. And then, even further, it gets a nice feature in the most recent generation, Scarlet and Violet, as being a member of Nemona's team, which I think is a really good fit for her. It was a really great feature for Lycanroc. So those are three awesome... basically, Nemona's basically the champion in Scarlet and Violet. Kukui is the champion in Sun and Moon, and Olivia's an Elite Four member. So really, really great. And then last but not least, Lycanroc's a dog Pokemon. Any dog Pokemon's getting a boost. We talked about Mabostiff, how it has its great story with Arven in Scarlet and Violet. And we are going to talk more about other dog Pokemon. So being connected to Rockruff and kind of absorbing Rockruff's popularity. Rockruff was a key mascot for Generation 7 because everybody loves a cute little doggy. And I really like how this cute little dog is not just a normal type. It's not even normal in rock. It's just a pure rock type, which I think is really interesting, and I think a lot of people appreciated when Rockruff and Lycanroc debuted in Generation 7. So, all that to say, number 94, we have Lycanroc. Now, at number 93, let's talk about Incineroar. This episode of the ranking is probably going to have some of the most recently created Pokemon, like Gudras Gen 6, Lycanroc Gen 7, Incineroar Gen 7. So these will be some of the highest placements for Pokemon that are not as OG. But Incineroar is huge as being a big Pokemon for Ash. It is obviously a starter Pokemon, but one of the big reasons I wanted to include Incineroar was it's an iconic VGC Pokemon. For it getting a really strong ability like Intimidate, getting really strong moves like Fake Out and others, it became a huge VGC Pokemon. And that is one of the biggest points for it being on this list. But, again, starter Pokemon, huge. It's also going to be on Professor Kukui's champion team, depending on what starter you select. It could also be a team member of How. So you're going to see it in your Generation 7 playthroughs, which I think are some of the most underrated games in the series. The most underrated game in the series, honestly. And then, big thing, it is playable in Smash Bros. There are not very many Pokemon that are playable in Smash Bros. But Incineroar is one of them, and it was one of those later additions that I was not really expecting. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it is the most recent Pokemon to be added to Smash. Someone correct me if I'm wrong there, but I think it is. And then talked about it being an iconic VGC Pokemon, but it's also a member of Kieran's team, and the Indigo Disc is notorious for its tough, actually competitive strategies. And Kieran having an Incineroar being one of those iconic VGC Pokemon, that's a big deal. And so Incineroar is technically featured on 2 champion teams, you could argue. But you put all that together, but it's big champion features, it's being a Pokemon of Ash, Super Smash Bros. Pokemon, and then obviously the big competitive point. We have Incineroar at number 93, and being one of the most recent Pokemon to be this high on the list. But I think I did speak maybe a little too soon, because if I'm not mistaken, if we move on to number 92, we're going to have another Generation 7 Pokemon. At number 92, we have Cosmog / Lunala / Solgaleo. So I decided to include all of these in one spot because Cosmog, spoilers ahead, if you have not played Sun and Moon, Cosmog ends up evolving into one of Lunala or Solgaleo, so it felt right to include them all together. Now, they each have their own kind of resume highlights. Lunala, Solgaleo being cover stars. They each have their own fusion form of Necrozma. Now, if we go back to Necrozma on our list to fusion forms, Solgaleo and Lunala kind of both get credit for those forms as well, which is really fun. But let me scooch on back to them. Great. But I want to talk about this when it comes to Solgaleo and Lunala. Oh my goodness. These cards were in Cosmic Eclipse. I love these cards. They're very, very popular. Specifically the one on the left there, that Lily. Oh my gosh, it looks so good. I'm very happy that I was able to get both these cards in my collection before they got really expensive. But them being so connected to Lily. Lily is one of the more popular NPC characters in Pokemon in general. But being so connected to Lily is a huge point in their favor, especially when you have these beautiful cards to commemorate that. So, we have that. And now I want to talk about the little guy. It has an iconic, adorable design. It is connected to Lily, but honestly, Cosmog might have one of the best just narrative arcs in any Pokemon game for a specific Pokemon, if that makes any sense. Lily's connection with Cosmog in the Sun and Moon games, that's the heart of those games. It's beautiful. We love it. Cosmog and her feed off each other. They give each other courage. I love this Pokemon for that reason. It is, again, has one of the best stories in any Pokemon game, that original Sun and Moon. I love it. I will hype that up forever. And Cosmog's at the center of it. So not only does Cosmog get that great thing, it evolves into legendary Pokemon, the box legendaries. Cosmog, more than worthy of being on this list. So, of course, I say iconically featured in Pokemon Sun and Moon. We have that great lore. It evolves into Cosmoem, which is kind of like a pupa stage of Cosmog, where Cosmog kind of like becomes really dense, and I think this thing canonically weighs like 1,000 pounds or something, which is really funny because Lily just has it in her bag. But it's kind of like a cocoon stage for it to emerge as Solgaleo or Lunala. Love Cosmog. And then last but not least, those Lily full art cards from Cosmic Eclipse are obviously super iconic. But look at this. Oh my gosh. I really, really would love to have this promo in my collection. Look at little Cosmog with the Clefairy doll. It's so freaking cute. Lily's looking adorable, writing in her little journal. Oh my gosh, this card is not talked enough about. It's so good. And that's, I mean, gosh. I think this card's really expensive, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see if I can find it just for giggles. Let me type in Lily promo, see what I can find. Oh yeah, there was the new Lily Premium Collection box that they just released. Oh my gosh. This Dream League Clefairy is $300 freaking apparently. But anyway, couldn't find it there, but love Cosmog. I could talk forever about how good the story of Sun and Moon is, and I'm very happy to include Cosmog / Lunala / Solgaleo on this list because they anchor, in my opinion, the best story in Pokemon. But, you know, that's just me. But let's move along. I need a drink of water. I talk so much more in these than the actual game streams. So, moving on to number 91. Gosh, we're winding down already for this episode. We have Haunter. It's very interesting to have a not fully evolved Pokemon this high up on the list, but I think Haunter's design rivals that of Gengar, which is crazy because Gengar is one of the most popular Pokemon of all time. But I think Haunter, design-wise, holds up. They're both very different. So Haunter is an interesting middle stage that kind of feels complete on its own, in its own way. I love the design of this Pokemon. I think it's one of the best ever. And again, I write it here. You could argue that Haunter is the best design of that original Ghost trio. And it was my personal favorite when I was very young. I love the detached hands. It's so creepy and cool. Love Haunter. I don't have it linked here. Let me see if I can find Yellow Sprite. I love the Sprite artwork. Oh! Pokemon Yellow has the best sprites ever. I will take that to my grave. I love this Haunter sprite. Oh, love the purple around it. You really see those creepy hands. It looks so good in Pokemon Yellow. Oh my gosh. Love Haunter in Pokemon Yellow. Gosh, it's so good. That's Lily. So, it was part of the original Ghost line. Maybe the best. Design-wise, you could argue. I'm not saying that. It was my personal favorite growing up, but it has really nice features in the original Pokemon sets. Like here, we see it featured in base set with that bad CG artwork, just like Ghastly. And then it also gets a nice holo card in Fossil. This Haunter right here oozes cool. It's just like, yeah, it's just awesome. Love that original holo pattern in those first sets from Wizards of the Coast. Love this Ken Sugimori artwork. Just the simple purple background works so well for it here. It's like he's in the abyss. Man, this Haunter card rocks. It rocks, man. Also gets a lot of really great representation. from NPCs, specifically in the classic generations. It is a team member on Morty's team in generations 2 and 4. It is a member of Fantina's team in Platinum only, actually, because in Diamond and Pearl she has a fully evolved Gengar, but in Platinum you challenge her a little bit earlier, so she will have a Haunter instead, which is really cool. It is another team member of Silver. We talked about Sneasel earlier on this episode, and we also have Haunter there. I don't think, before you get to the Pokemon League, Silver does not evolve his Haunter into Gengar. But then, most of all, it is featured on Elite Four Agatha's original teams in Generation 1 and Generation 3. I will add that Haunter was actually not included on her Let's Go team. They did decide to give her 2 Gengars still, but in Let's Go, she had Golbat, Arbok, but they sub out Haunter for a Weezing, in Let's Go, for whatever reason. I guess they just wanted to give her another fully evolved Pokemon, but whatever. Haunter also kind of gets its own area in the original games with Pokemon Tower. It is like the strong spawn there because there's Ghastlies everywhere, but Haunters you can find in the wild there. They're a little bit more rare. And in Let's Go, they are kind of like what the Sylph Scope ghosts look like. They look like Haunter. I just think Haunter is more reminiscent of like the ghost archetype. I don't know. I've talked a lot about how its design might be stronger than Gengar's, even though Gengar's is incredible, don't get me wrong. I just think the strength of its design is really what brings Haunter here. It has great placement in the games, but its design is so strong. And I will add, I mentioned this in our Platinum playthrough, the last thing I wanted to say for Haunter. It has the iconic Troll Trade. So for those of you that don't know, Haunter is one of the original Pokemon that evolves via trading in the original Pokemon games. Graveler's that way, Kadabra's that way. And in Generation 4, there's an NPC in Snowpoint City that will trade you a Haunter, and you're like, oh yes, he'll trade me the Haunter, and then it's going to evolve into Gengar immediately. That's amazing. But when you get the Haunter, it is holding an Everstone, so it will not evolve when it is traded to you. It is an iconic troll by the Pokemon Company, and that is the last point I have for Haunter, and I think a lot of people were burned by it, so it's very, very memorable. I'll give it that. But love to see Haunter here at number 91 on the 151 greatest Pokemon of all time. So, to wrap up our list for today, I want to talk about number 90. At number 90, we have Slowbro. Slowbro might have been the fastest riser on this entire list. I did not have Slowbro on my original list. I had Slowking on my original list, and I'm like, Trent, I know you love Gen 2, but Slowbro has a far stronger case. And it kind of like takes Slowking's resume a little bit. Slowbro might have the sneakiest, strongest resume that you will ever see. Slowbro has been featured so much in the franchise. Love Slowbro. We're going to learn about it now. So, connected to Slowpoke. Slowpoke is one of the funny, goofy Pokemon. And Slowbro is an extension of that. Being connected to Slowpoke, going to give you a lot of points. Now, lore-wise, Slowbro has one of the most iconic evolution methods. So, for those of you that don't know, Slowpoke evolves into Slowbro, lore-wise, by sticking its tail into the water and a Shelder biting it. Now, not only does the Slowpoke transform, the Shelder transforms as well into the weird kind of spiky fishy thing that you see on Slowbro's tail. That is one of the most iconic evolution methods, again, I will add, lore-wise, because I think Slowpoke just evolves at level 38 or something. But really cool, really unique, and you see that featured in the original Pokemon Snap. You can lead your Slowpoke to the water, and it will stick its tail in the water and evolve into Slowbro right in front of you. Really, really cool. Love that. And I mentioned that here, featured in Pokemon Snap. Now, Slowbro in Generation 8 got a regional form with the Isle of Armor DLC. I love this regional form of Slowbro. I think it's so, so cool. I love that it has this weird kind of poison cannon on its arm. I really, really like this regional form. I remember when they announced this, I'm like, I'm using a Slowbro. Love this regional form. And not only does it get a regional form, it got a Mega Evolution in Generation 6 as well. I think this Mega Evolution is very silly, and I don't really like it. But it does serve a very specific purpose, making Slowbro, focusing on the defensive capabilities of Slowbro. They had another, I remember Sableye got a Mega Evolution that was kind of similar to this. They just made its gem really big. And here they just make Slowbro's fish be like a shell on its entire body. I think it looks really silly. I don't really like it. But Slowbro getting a regional form and a Mega Evolution, huge points in its favor. Now, so it has iconic lore. It has great representation in terms of alternate forms, but it also has great representation on NPC teams. It is a team member of Lorelei in the original games in Gens 1 and 3. It is a team member of Will in Generations 2 and 4, which is really cool because that adds some kind of synergy. Will has a few Pokemon that are the same as Lorelei, so it kind of makes you feel like you're fighting Lorelei again, but he uses the Psychic type instead of the Water/Ice type. It is a team member of a champion team, albeit that champion is Trace in Let's Go. We don't love Trace, but it is featured on a champion team, also featured on a rivals team, because Avery in that Isle of Armor DLC will use a Galarian Slowbro that we looked at earlier on his team, her team. I don't remember which one is which. There are two rivals in that DLC. Anyway. Also an Elite Four Lacey team member in that Indigo Disc DLC. Slowbro's just getting in on all the DLCs, but that's for Scarlet and Violet. Now, I talked about Pokemon Snap with its iconic evolution method, and that's just so cool. I cannot wait to play Snap on the channel to show that game to you guys, because it's such just a good little hidden gem, and it's really short for the N64, but Pokemon Snap is so wonderful. But let's talk about its features in the TCG. Now, the two big ones I wanted to highlight were this Slowbro from Fossil. Again, man, you get some of these beautiful colors on some of these OG Wizards of the Coast cards, like Persian had a very similar, awesome, colorful background. Executor that we saw today had that beautiful sunset. This kind of like purpley blue, green, yellow background, it reminds me of the color by the foot, fruit by the foot, and it's making me hungry. That's just kind of an aside there. But love this artwork from its rookie card in Fossil. But Slowbro also gets a Dark Slowbro Hollow in the Team Rocket Wizards of the Coast set. I remember pulling this card as a kid and being very, very excited. Love the green background. Love that Team Rocket goon in the background. I think this Dark Slowbro is really cool, really unique. And Slowpoke and Slowbro are connected to Team Rocket in the Generation 2 games because they have this Slowpoke well. And again, that connection to Slowpoke and that connection to Slowking also, for me, holds a lot of weight. Slowbro, again, I will add, kind of in closing here, that Slowbro is maybe the most sneaky, well-represented Pokemon in the franchise. Like I said, it's probably the biggest riser on this list from when I started. And I'm very curious to see if you all agree. So please comment, do you agree? This is my argument, but tell me I'm wrong or right, please. But with that, folks, that takes us to number 90. We just hit an hour. How about that? So, guys, I have been loving talking about some of these heavier hitters. This has been great. I can't wait to get into more of this probably next week. Again, if you enjoy this series, I know this has been pretty well watched on YouTube, so if you're watching this video to the end, please like this video, please subscribe to Silver Cave Gaming on YouTube. That would be really, really lovely. I am pretty close to being able to monetize the channel, which is really, really great. I was able to launch memberships, and I'm excited to continue to grow on YouTube. You all helped me hit 1,000 subscribers, which I loved. I know I had been asking you all and trying to hit that goal for a long time, so thank you for that. I appreciate that a lot. I love streaming. I love talking about my favorite video games, and I'm happy to share my joy with you. I always want to make sure I say that a lot, because it's super fun, and I'm glad that other people can enjoy with me. It makes me really happy, so thank you for that. Again, we're closing up Arceus soon, and we'll be starting some new series, which I'm really excited about. A lot of great possibilities coming this summer. So I hope you all have a great weekend. I will see you very soon for numbers 89 through 80. I appreciate you all. See you next time. Peace, kids.